Recording in progress.
Welcome to the Millbrae City Council meeting. Today is January 23rd, 2024. I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. City Clerk, first order of business tonight. Did you receive any notifications or requests for virtual meeting participation from any member of the City Council?
Yes, I did, Mayor. Councilmember Pappen notified staff that she has a need to participate remotely for emergency circumstances under AB 2449 and the Brown Act.
Okay, thank you, City Clerk. There are a few legal requirements to participate remotely for just cause. We've prepared 3 questions to address these requirements that we ask that you answer. Councilwoman Pappen, are you online with us?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, City Clerk, would you please go through with those?
Okay, the first question is, please generally describe the circumstance relating to the need to participate remotely.
I had a medical emergency today and went to the emergency room and am trying to heal. Is that sufficient enough?
Thank you. And number 2, please confirm that you will have audio and video throughout the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you. And lastly, please disclose if there are any individuals over the age of 18 present in the room, and if so, the general nature of their relationship to you.
There is no one at all present in the room with me.
Thank you, Councilmember Pappen. In order to participate remotely under emergency circumstances, the council will need to vote to allow the request.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion to approve for this remote participation.
Second.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Snyder.
Aye.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Aye.
Mayor Fong.
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen is allowed to participate remotely for the January 23rd regular City Council meeting under AB 2449 and the Brown Act by the vote of 4-0.
Thank you for joining us, Councilwoman Pappen. I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you, my colleagues. Appreciate it.
Okay, for those who are able, actually, we need to do a roll call first.
That's correct, Mayor. Councilmember Snyder.
Present.
Councilmember Pappen.
Present via Zoom.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Here.
Mayor Fong.
Hi. Here. Excuse me.
All members of City Council are present.
So for those who are able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like to say a few words on the land acknowledgement?
Yes. The Millbrae City Council acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral, traditional, and contemporary homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. We are the original, or who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We wish to pay our respects to the ancestors and relatives of the Ramaytush community and to affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples. We recognize that the Ramaytush Ohlone have lived in harmony with nature for millennia, and that to achieve a truly ecological sustainable future for Millbrae, we must embrace indigenous traditional ecological knowledge and how we care for the city's lands, waters, and all its people. We will continue to uplift and foster a meaningful relationship with the Ramaytush Ohlone community, and we encourage all to visit www.ramaytush.org to learn more about the Ramaytush Ohlone people.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And then following, we have the ceremonial presentation. The first item on the agenda is proclaiming February 10th, 2024 as Lunar New Year. This is one of the most important holidays, I would say, for the API community every year. And we're glad tonight we have Self-Help for the Elderly, Chief of Program and Compliance Officer Winnie Yu joining us today. We also have board member, that's right, board member Maggie Mui joining us here this evening. Would you like to come up to the podium and say a few words? We'd love to have you up here.
Thank you so much, Mayor Fung, for this opportunity to accept the proclamation on behalf of Self Up for the Elderly. Our president and CEO, Annie Chung, unfortunately, is unable to be here today. But on behalf of Annie Chung, our president and CEO, and the board of directors of Self Up for the Elderly, we congratulate Mayor Fung for your first council meeting today, as well as Vice Mayor Goodman together. And I believe the dragon is a symbol, and this is the year of the dragon 2024. It is a symbol of strength. And we all wish that the mighty city of Millbrae will have the power, the perseverance, and the prosperity to continue in a beautiful year, and wishing everyone health and happiness for the residents. And of course, under the leadership of the City Council, we really appreciate all the services that you bring to the seniors, to the people, and to make Millbrae a great place to be. So thank you so much, and to make this an auspicious day for this proclamation.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Maggie, would you like to say that? No pressure?
No pressure.
No pressure.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and thank you so much for this proclamation. And I wish you the year of the dragon, good wealth, good health, and good everything, and prosperity for Millbrae. Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you very much, and support self-help.
Yeah, thank you so very much. And also thanks Self Help for the Elderly for day in and day out, 5 days a week now, every day serving. You take your food, you take your volunteer, you take your resources and come to our city and serving our seniors. So we cannot be more thankful for all that you do for all of us. Thank you so very much. Anyone on the council would like to make any remarks? No? Okay. We'd love to have you join us at a photo at the podium here. Sure. So next item is the proclamation of February as Black History Month. Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, this year, the theme for Black History Month is African Americans in the arts. And, that includes artists, musicians, poets, visual artists, dancers, as well as those that choose to use art as a sign of resistance and carrying on the rites of passage and shared hopes of liberty. Black artists continue to fuse the rhythmic cadence of creative expressions with the pulsating beats of progress. With that said, there are going to be a multitude of events throughout our county that are going to uplift and highlight Black history. I welcome all of you to find something to engage in and immerse yourself in and celebrate Black history within our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And joining us virtually this evening, we have Mills High School Black Student Union, the President, Manil Faisal. Would you like to say a few words, please?
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me. As the president of Black Student Union at Mills, I'm honored to advocate for the proclamation of February as Black History Month, and I appreciate the council's support in this endeavor and look forward to a month of meaningful celebration and reflection.
Thanks for joining us this evening. Anyone else on the council would like to make any comments? Ms. Pappen? Okay. All right. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. Okay, the third item here on agenda number 1 is the presentation of the Central County Fire Department, CCFD Annual Report. Joining us this evening, we have CCFD Interim Fire Chief, Ken Giacoto. Chief? Thank you for joining us this evening.
So good evening, Mayor Fung, City Council members, City Manager Tom Williams. My honor to be here tonight to present this annual report to you guys. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Next slide, please. So who we are in an overview. The Central County Fire is broken down into 4 main sections. We have administration, operations, training, and prevention. The last bullet point you see there, the CCFD in the community, that actually falls under the prevention heading there. So as we dive in more to these, you'll see kind of how that fits together within our organization. As I go through this presentation, if you guys have questions, please ask up. I'd be happy to answer them. And then, of course, we'll have time at the end to do the same. Next slide, please. So this is our mission statement. This is what we hold each other to be accountable to. And when we're looking to hire new members, we're looking for people to have these same core values as we share. And the great thing about this mission statement is this was written by us, for us. So we wrote this mission statement about 6 years ago. And what we did is we took members from every aspect of our organization, we put them together in the room, and we basically said, don't come out until you have a mission statement. And it took us about 8 hours to come up with this. So the great thing about this is because we wrote it for ourselves, we get the buy-in for that. And then, of course, we want to make sure that as we continue to grow and develop and hire new members, that they also instill these same values. Slide, please. So these are administration achievements for this year. And as you guys read down the list here, I'm not going to go through every single one, but I want to highlight 2 of the bullet points on here. And that is the second bullet point there, the standards of cover study, which we completed in March. This was a huge undertaking for our organization and something that we've done for the first time. This was about a 2-year undertaking for us to complete this project. And if you haven't seen it, we have it posted up to our website there. And what this standards of cover study did is it really took a deep dive into our organization, every single facet, and gave us areas that we need to work on and improve. So it basically laid out a roadmap of where we need to go to build a better fire department to serve our community. It's about a 250-page document. A lot of you were interviewed as part of that, forming that document. So we interviewed members of the public, both internal and external stakeholders. So everybody had a lot of hands into creating this document. And now that we have that, that's going to be, the basis of us moving forward and like I said, building a better department. And it's a visual reference, and you can read all the documentation on what it took to get us there. So it's a really comprehensive study. And then I want to kind of go down to the middle 2 bullet points there. You'll see our Fire Marshal Christine Reed retired in August, and our Fire Chief Ruth Barron retired in October. 2 huge members of our fire department, right? Probably 2 of the most forward-facing members. Retiring at the same time is challenging. I will say this, that I've been honored to serve as the interim fire chief since that time. And we have our Deputy Fire Marshal Patty Koch acting as the fire marshal currently. We have hired our new fire chief. He is set to start on February 5th. He's a member of this county, so he's coming from within the county. He's well-versed in all the areas and challenges that brings, and he's ready to hit the ground running, and we're looking forward to collaborating with him to move this agency forward. Next slide, please. So our budget, as you take a look at these numbers, what you see there is our total member contributions, and that comes from the town of Hillsborough, Burlingame, and of course here in Millbrae. And then you guys can see your breakout of what Millbrae's contribution is to that, and then the overall increase from fiscal year 22 to 23, moving forward to 23. Next slide, please. Operational goals. You can see again, I'm not going to go through every single one, but the one that I want to highlight there is that first bullet point is the ongoing probationary training and testing. Over about the last 6 to 8 years, we've been going through a pretty big transitional phase. We've had a lot of our members retire, so we are hiring lots and lots of new employees. And to ensure that they're ready for the challenges of the fire service and to make sure that we are offering the greatest service to the communities, we have a pretty robust probationary period. So from the time we hire somebody from when they enter the academy to the time they graduate probation, it's about a 1.5 year process to make sure that they get through that. And again, it's our goal to make sure that they are up to the task of delivering the service to our community members. And then the second to last bullet point there, you can see our deployments over this last year. Knock on wood, California had a fairly lighter fire season this last year. But we did have crews deployed for about a 2-month span, both into Northern California and into Oregon. Next slide, please. Okay, so what you're looking at here is our responses for calls for service for 2023. And what you'll see is our total number of calls for service there in the middle column, and then of those, how many were here in Millbrae. So the total calls for service last year was about 9,336. Of those, 3,006 were here in the city of Millbrae, so about a third of our call volume actually happens here in Millbrae. And then, of course, you can see the different incident types as we break them out to take a look at that as well. Slide, please. Again, our training division, and you're going to see a common theme here. Again, you can see the amount of probationary exams that we give, and I just want to provide a little context here. The number looks, only 9 of them. These are full-day events. So we start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we wrap up these tests at 5 o'clock at night. These are full events. We hire additional crews to come in and to run these new firefighters through. In addition to that, the second bullet there, you'll see our Cal OSHA, our ISO mandated trainings. In addition to that, we also are mandated by NFPA to meet a certain amount of trainings hours per year, and they're all broken out into different categories. And we do get audited from these agencies. So we have to be able to show the detailed trainings that we put our firefighters through. Then in addition to this, we have our EMS training. So for those of us that are paramedics, we have to complete a minimum of 48 hours of continuous training every other year. For EMTs, it's 24 hours. So we got to be able to show that in great detail to make sure that we meet the requirements to maintain. Slide, please. Prevention and emergency preparedness. Again, our prevention division has been extremely busy, and I think most of you are aware with all the new buildings coming to the transient corridor here. So they've been extremely busy with plans reviews and keeping up on that, as well as all the mandated fire inspections that they're required to do. And the mandated fire inspections are all the apartment complexes, skilled nursing facilities, schools, high rises, things of that nature by the end of the year that we have to report out that we've completed all those, and I'm having to report that we did that to 100%. And then as we scroll down to the bottom too, you'll see our CERT volunteer recognition event as well as our CERT conference. We hosted the national CERT conference here this year. It was hosted at the Hyatt Regency, so our members had a heavy hand in doing that, where all these people came nationally to visit this, and they received and had different events set up over, I think it was a 2-day period. Slide, please. CCFD in the community. This is a huge thing for us. We don't have a built-in marketing division, right? So our touches on the community, other than calls for service, are when we participate in these community events. So this is a huge thing for us. As you take a look at this, you'll see a picture of our folks with our tent, and that's at the Millbrae Art and Wine Festival. You can see us doing a presentation to a group of young school children. And then, of course, on the far right there, the slides upper and lower, those are our CERT events. These are great opportunities for us to get out in the community, meet people, answer their questions, interact with them, talk about what we do and the importance of what we do, and of course, educate them on different things that we do. In addition to what you're seeing here, we also do community CPR programs, and those are kind of offered throughout the years as we get those requests that come in that are big enough for us to host a class. So we take advantage of those opportunities to get out in the public and really share that information. Next slide, please. That concludes my presentation here this evening. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for a very detailed report. Anyone on the council have any questions? Councilwoman Schneider.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you because I sponsored a youth group that did a legislative program here in City Hall, and then we had a most fabulous tour, and the kids were just, you know, they're 7th graders and 8th graders, so they had a lot of energy, but everybody did a great job. And from my family personally, you guys have been out to our house 3 times. My mom is 96, a couple of life-threatening things, and you're always amazing. Everybody is amazing. They come in, they take care of you, they get you organized, and I am just so very grateful for all of you for that. So I'm very glad to see this, and hopefully we have, I don't want to jinx us, we have a lovely 24.
And that's our mission statement at work, right? If you look at that initial statement, we're here to provide the highest level of service to our community. That's what you're experiencing called out there.
Yeah, and for the public, if you see that chart of just how many calls are medical related in Millbrae. So it's not always the sexy fires.
No.
Or pulling people, but it's taking care of us at all different ages, so thank you.
And we take great pride in doing that.
Anyone else? Okay, all right. Thank you so very much, Chief.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Next up is agenda overview. City Manager, Mr. Tom Williams, would you
Yes.
please take us to a city update?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening to you, members of the City Council. Tom Williams, City Manager. We can pull up my City Manager report, please. While that's being pulled up, I would like to introduce Christina Gachon. She is our newest intern. Christina is a recent graduate from the University of San Francisco, the Dons, when I talked to her about basketball, because that's what I like. Great basketball team and great coach at USF. So we welcome Christina. Today's her second day, so she's learning the ropes up here. So we welcome her aboard. Okay, so tonight's report, next slide, please. Again, continuing with our significant infrastructure work, this is a storm drain bypass and water line on Arroyo Seco and Vista Grande. These photos were actually taken today. On the left is the staging area for the water line, and on the right is a construction in progress. Next slide. So this slide on the left, you can see on the left photo on the right side, that's the storm drain that's been installed. You can see the temporary asphalt. And down the middle, that is the water line. And to the right, it's kind of hard to see. I wanted to get a location map. On the bottom is Hillcrest. And this is right off of Hillcrest, about 3/4 up the hill, up Hillcrest towards Skyline, right at Linda Vista and Vista Grande where they intersect, and then Arroyo Seco and Vista Grande. Vista Grande, it's hard to see, and I apologize for that, but it is approximately about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile of storm drain line. And we've, as some of the council members or all the council may know, Arroyo Seco is an area of the city that floods pretty significantly. We've received claims over the years for homes that flooded. And again, you can't tell on the photo, but it's pretty steep up there and drains probably about 25% of the entire slope from Hillcrest, from Skyline Avenue down the hill. So major project for us. So both the storm line or storm drain and water line. Next slide, please. Another project, this is Hawthorne Way. Hawthorne Way runs parallel to Murchison between Sequoia and Murchison. On the top of that photo on your left is Mills High School. To the bottom right is Spring Valley Elementary School. And that little S right in the middle of that street is Hawthorne Way. And on the right, that is the first phase of the paving. PG&E just installed a brand new gas line actually at this location. And so we work with them to pave half of the street, and we're coming back as a city pave the other half. There was some chatter on social media that half of the street was in Burlingame, and that was to the left, which is the north side, and the other side of the street was in Millbrae. This is 100% in the city of Millbrae, and just wanted everybody to know that we are coming back with paving for the entire street. So Hawthorne, if you've ever been down it, it is almost a dirt road. It's a bad street. So this is another great improvement, working in conjunction with PG&E. Next slide, please. While they were also out there, we had them improve some of the sidewalk conditions. There was some buckling of the sidewalk around street lights on the left, and then also some of their equipment that is underground that was lifting. And so the sidewalk improvements all throughout the entire area of Hawthorne Drive, also part of this project. Okay, next slide. Okay, last Monday, January 15th, was in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. The city hosted a day of service. We had 2 events and a great turnout. Community members as well as city staff, council, other electeds from the area to plant and dedicate a flowering cherry tree. This was at the gateway at Millbrae Station on the Paseo pedestrian pathway. Next slide. So on the left, that's the city council plus some of the guests. Riyadh Kadawan is 4th from the left. He is the chief operating officer from Republic Urban, and we thank Republic Urban and Riyadh for allowing us to plant the tree and have the festival and the great partnership. Also, the woman third from the left, that's Alexa Lewis representing the NAACP, so she joined us that day. And on the far left is a member from the Board of Supervisors, Dave Canepa, and the City Council. And then to the right, as we move from the tree planting, we move to a pocket park, which was the first adopt-a-spot park at the City of Millbrae, just east of El Camino on Hillcrest Avenue at the undercrossing of the Caltrain line, and had a picture of the Leos Club from Mills High School that joined us that day and just provided outstanding work for us. So I'd like to thank Ann Taylor Middle School. So I'd like to thank the Leos Club, also, of course, the city staff, our public works staff under the leadership of our Director of Public Works and Engineering, Mr. Sam Batista. So thank you for great work, everybody that was involved. Next slide. Okay, upcoming events. We have road work starting on January 21st, and that will go for 4 days to the 25th. The on-ramp northbound off of Millbrae Avenue to 101 will be closed, and this is for significant street repair. So on the night of the 21st through the evening of the 25th, a northbound on-ramp off of East Millbrae Avenue to 101 will be closed for major road repair. Next slide. And then, as I've been mentioning, our Citizens Academy, this is where people that sign up can learn about local government, the way we operate, get to know all the departments and how the departments function, how the city operates legally, tour city facilities, the sheriff's office, our fire station, our corporation yard, sewer treatment plant, water system. So it is really a nice Citizens Academy. We did our initial very first Citizens Academy last year, and we're hoping to get a lot of people signed up. The deadline is February 5th, so that's coming up, and people can log on to the city website at the Millbrae Citizens Academy to sign up. Next slide. This is a survey, an age-friendly, Millbrae is designated an age-friendly community, and part of that is a age-friendly survey currently being conducted. It can be found again on our website at Age Friendly Millbrae. So we encourage everyone to log in and take this age friendly survey that will help us improve service and identify the needs of our senior community. And then upcoming events, we have a series of them starting. I need glasses so I have my report. Starting on January 24th, which is tomorrow night, 6 p.m. At the library, room A and B, staff will be holding an information meeting for the current fire assessment that was mailed out to all property owners. So staff will be there to answer questions of the community. So again, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. At the Millbrae Library, conference room A and B. January 27th, which is this Saturday at 10 a.m., there's a neighborhood meeting hosted by District 2, Councilmember Cahalan. Again, it starts at 10 a.m. This will be held in the David J. Chakuti room here at the City Hall complex. So anybody that's interested, it's open to the entire community, not just District 2 residents. January 26th. Sorry for me to see that, believe it or not. January 26th is the Millbrae Senior Showcase. You've probably seen this. We've gotten great advertising and partnership with the Daily Journal. So that's this Friday, 10 a.m. At the Millbrae Recreation Center. It's a great program. I encourage the City Council, if you're available, to stop in, because we get a tremendous crowd there in partnership with the Daily Journal. And then, of course, February 3rd, it's the Fix-It Clinic at the Millbrae Library. That's 11 a.m. In the library. And again, anything that you want to bring in to see how to fix it, they have experts there, from watches to lawnmowers to whatever. You can bring it in. And then February 9th is our Millbrae Goes to the Movies, hosted by our Recreation Department at the Millbrae Recreation Center. It starts at 6:30 p.m. And the movie is The Little Mermaid, the new one. So Mayor, that concludes the overview of the report and things that are happening over the last couple of weeks and into the future here at the City of Millbrae.
Thank you for all the update here. Lots of good things are happening within the city. We're excited. All right. Next up is the approval of minutes. We have special meeting minutes on October 10th, 2023, and special meeting minutes on October 24th, 2023. Any council comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve both minutes?
Okay, both minutes. We have a motion from Councilwoman Schneider.
Second.
We have a second from Councilwoman Cahalan. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Snyder.
Yes.
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Aye.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
The two sets of minutes are approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next up is oral report from City Committee and Commission Chair. Tonight, I believe we have the adoption of calendar year 2024 of the Youth Advisory Committee Work Plan. So we have Ms. Hannah Moran joining us. Thank you.
Hello, I'm actually just going to present our Youth Advisory Committee Chair, who is on Zoom. So Manu Brierassetti is on Zoom to present this report to you all.
Thank you for joining us, Manu.
All right, I will share my screen here. And all right, this is my presentation. So I'll be presenting our 2024 work plan. This is all the members in our committee. And this is the review for 2023. And then moving on to 2024 work plan goals, our first task is being an advisory body to the City Council. And task 2 is programs and fees, and we don't have any cost estimate. Our next task is the legislative camp, which is between February and June of this year. The cost estimate is $200 and another $395 for the staffs. And then, right. Primary lead is Zerine. The next task is helping the girls who code with their youth and teen programming and events. And the primary lead here is Friedrich, and the timeline is between February and May. The next task is a joint committee program, which is a trivia game. And the timeline is between February and April of this year. The cost estimate is just $25 for the trophy. And the primary lead is Madison, and the secondary lead is Hannah. The next task is the food supply toy drive. That will be between February and December of this year. The primary lead is Friedrich, and the secondary lead is Kiyomi. And the next task is the senior tech program, which will be between February and April. The cost estimate is between $237 and $316. The primary lead is Adrian, and the secondary lead is myself. And that's it.
Thank you. So very speedy going through all the program here. That's wonderful. Is there any detail that you want to give us? Anything a little bit more? I'm sure there's a lot of discussions going through all of this as to when you formulate your work plan, what are some of your focuses this year?
We continued some of the events that we did last year, like the legislative camp and the senior tech program. And a few new things that we're doing this year is we're helping out with the Girls Who Code. we're doing a trivia game, which we did a few years back, and that was on Zoom. And then the food supply toy drive is something kind of new that we're doing this year.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Anyone else have any, Councilwoman Schneider?
I think the work plan looks fantastic. Manu, I want to say thank you so much, and thank you to Ms. Hannah and City Manager Tom and City Clerk Elaine for the legislative camp. I'm so happy to see it incorporated now and becoming part of annual programming. That's very exciting. You guys are doing an amazing job. I'm so grateful to you.
Excellent. Anyone else?
I'll just say the work plan looks excellent. I can see all the work and the detail that you put into it, even down to all of your budget items. And so I'm excited to see that plan. And will now be joining the Youth Advisory Council, so I very much look forward to working with you all.
Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Yeah, Manu, thank you.
Yes, please.
For the great presentation. Looking forward to either attending and hearing more about the work that you all have planned for this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting all of this together as well, Manu, and your entire team. Look forward to a great 2024. And also our Park and Rec staff as well in assisting our Youth Advisory Committee for many years. And as they continue to grow and continue to expand their work plan and making greater impact to our overall community. Thank you so much for all of that. So with that, if no further comment, I'll take a motion. Yep, we have Mr. Vice Mayor, and then,
Second.
okay, we have Councilwoman Cahalan. Any further comment? City Clerk, would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Snyder?
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
Item number 4 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have public communication tonight, and public communication is intended for members of the public who wish to comment on items not on tonight's agenda, and the speaker must address the subject matter within jurisdictions of our city. And speakers are also required to address the full council, not individual council members or the members of the public. And we will start with in-person speaker, and then we will move on to virtual speaker after. I have one speaker slip. Mr. Ron Raquel, please.
Hello, City Council. My name is Ron Raquel. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm talking about pedestrian safety. This is not Millbrae and Magnolia Avenue, which I've burned your ears off on. This is at La Cruz and Magnolia Avenue. 2 days before Christmas, I was hit by a vehicle. I don't know what else to say. Walking in Millbrae is very tenuous at best. I've beaten the drum. I don't know what else to say. Eventually someone is going to get run over. I don't feel safe at all crossing, and I hope you heed my words. Probably was my fault for not stopping the vehicle. I yelled at him because he grazed me, and he said, well, I was dressed too dark and he couldn't see me well. I'm not that short, about 6'3", and he wasn't paying attention because you should be looking left, right, left. And I was in the middle of the intersection and he hit me, and I started him, the truck grazing my body, and I yelled at him, and he didn't ask if I was safe or anything. It was, like I said, my fault for not stopping him to get information, but what else can I say? I must be a magnet for cars. That's all I can say. And just one other thing on street cleaning on our block on Willow. I mean, it seems like the street cleaner just kind of goes up and down the block with too many vehicles on there. Maybe we can add some signage to clean the streets. I mean, I think it would make our neighborhood look much better and adjacent streets there. It's just, we should be proud of our city, and it's just kind of filthy with all the leaves going in there and the car, street cleaner just driving up and down and unable to clean the curbs at all. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us. And then we have next speaker, Mr. Ad Musa.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I don't come up and speak at all at any of these events. A lot of people come up and speak in things that I believe in, and so I don't need to come up. Today, I believe in something that's very true to my heart, especially in listening to about, Black History Month, the New Year with the Lunar New Year, the Gaza situation, humanitarian situation. I've spoken to few of you individually, and looking to possibly do a humanitarian resolution from Millbrae for the city, for Gaza. I'm Palestinian. We set up a friendship city with Ramallah and Millbrae. I feel there's a kinship there. I'm hoping we can do something, maybe write a resolution. There's been resolutions out there. I was speaking to somebody yesterday. The UN approved the resolution back in November with no no's, a few abstained. Basically humanitarian. Don't want to get anything political, nothing at all, even though how I feel about it. But just to get the aid, enough of the killings. There's been over 25,000 people killed over there, more than half women and children. 25,000 is more than people live in Millbrae. Think about that. So, again, I'm hoping we can do something about that for the city of Millbrae, from the city of Millbrae, as far as a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Musa. That's all the speaker slips I have here in the council chamber. Do we have anybody online? City Clerk.
Mayor, we do not have any speakers online.
Okay, thank you. So closing public communication. We move on to consent calendar. Received, item number 5, receive a monthly general fund financial report for the period ending December 31st, 2023. And number 6, approval by motion to usage of the Millbrae Community Youth Center Scout House by Happy Hall School, Inc. for the Millbrae Elementary School District, ELOP, Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, 5 days a week for a period of from January 24, 2024 to June 1st, 25. Item number 7, approved by motion a request from the Pacific Islander Community Partnership for the use of the Recreation Center Art Center and fee waiver for the sewing 101 with the project runway designer Afa'alu and Pacifica designer Jolene Tacey workshop on February 9th to 10th, 2024. And item number 8, waive the second reading and adopt an ordinance amending Ordinance 791 of the City of Millbrae, Chapter 6.45, regulating mandatory organic waste disposal reduction to remove collection frequency waiver in Chapter 6.45.040. Item number 9, adoptions of a resolution awarding a contract to Champion Cleaning Specialists, Inc. for the 2024 sanitary sewer main cleaning and inspection project. Does any council member like to pull any item or have any comments? Councilwoman Schneider?
Thank you, Mayor. Don't necessarily have to pull an item, but need clarification. Agenda item number 9, awarding a contract for sanitary sewer main cleans, includes work on the street and the block that I live on. So just need clarification of whether I need to recuse myself from that vote.
Legal counsel?
I don't believe you do. Your ownership status has not changed.
It has not changed.
So, no.
Okay. In that case, Mayor, if you would like, I'm happy to make a motion for all of those consent items.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilwoman Ann Schneider. Any other comments or a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Vice Mayor. If no further comment, City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Snyder.
Aye.
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Aye.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
The consent calendar passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you so much. Ms. Schneider, you have a comment?
Just, if I could, Mayor, for the Pacific Islander Community Partnership, if they are watching tonight, I just wanted to invite you, I'm sure the City Council would love to invite you and your students and your designers to the Millbrae Art Show, which is tentatively set for May, and we just want to welcome you to the community. Thank you.
Mr. Cahalan, do you have anything? Okay, all right, thank you so much. And we're going to move on to public hearing item number 10. Adopt a citywide vehicle miles travel, VMT threshold and screening policy, establishing VMT as the metric for conducting transportation impact analysis for the purpose of environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act to comply with the requirement of Senate Bill 743.
Good evening, Mayor Fung and members of the City Council. For the record, Angelica Gonzalez, Senior Planner with the City of Millbrae's Planning Division. Joining me this evening is Andrew Mogensen, who's our Community Development Planning Director, along with Roscoe Matta, who's a Planning Manager, and Alex Murray, who will also be joining us with Farron Pierce, who has been assisting the City of Millbrae with the development of the vehicle miles traveled thresholds and screening policy. And so the item before you is item 10, vehicle miles traveled threshold screening policy for a resolution of the City Council to adopt a citywide vehicle miles traveled threshold and screening policy, also known as the VMT policy, establishing VMT as a metric for conducting transportation impact analysis for the purpose of environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act, also known as CEQA, to comply with the requirements of Senate Bill number 743, also known as SB 743. Next slide, please. I'd like to start with providing some background, specifically why we're developing a VMT policy. On September 27, 2013, Senate Bill 743 was signed by then Governor Jerry Brown, requiring the Governor's Office of Planning and Research, known as OPR, to amend the CEQA guidelines to develop alternative metrics with the goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, develop multimodal transportation networks, and provide a diversity of land uses in proximity to one another. Next slide, please. And so effective July 1st, 2020, compliance was required, and SB 743 legislation required local jurisdictions to shift from the use of level of service, known as LOS, which measures vehicle delay, to VMT, a method that assesses the distance of travel attributed to a project or use to define transportation impacts under CEQA. And so the Governor's Office of Planning and Research recommended jurisdictions replace LOS with VMT to measure transportation impacts under CEQA. Cities can still use level of service within the local development review process to inform site access, and traffic operation decisions, but LOS cannot be used to evaluate CEQA impacts or mitigation. I'd like to acknowledge that the City of Millbrae will continue to use LOS for specific projects consistent with the general plan. Next slide, please. So ultimately, SB 743 changes the focus of transportation impact analysis in CEQA from measuring impact to drivers to impacts of driving. So unlike LOS, VMT does not assess the local vehicle trips from a project or the project's traffic impacts on a specific local intersection or road or highway segment, but rather VMT assesses the effects of the project on a regional traffic and use of transit and non-motorized vehicles. Next slide, please. And so to comply with SB 743, the city has prepared a VMT policy that supports the shift for measuring transportation impacts from LOS to VMT and includes 5 sections. The first is screening criteria for land use projects. The second is screening criteria for transportation projects, project impact analysis, VMT impact significant thresholds, and non-CEQA transportation analysis. I'd like to also acknowledge that staff has received assistance from the Association of Bay Area Governments, also known as ABAG, and the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, known as MTC. in support of this transition from LOS to VMT, and we've also hired a transportation consultant, Fair and Peers, to assist the city prepare the VMT policy. So with that, I'd like to invite Alex Murray with Fair and Peers to go over the city's VMT policy.
Thank you, Angelica. I'm Alex Murray with Fair and Peers, a transportation consulting firm, and I'll be presenting information on VMT and its role in the CEQA analysis process. The following slides provide an overview of the CEQA analysis process and VMT, which is a three-step process. First, project screening based on project characteristics, such as affordable housing or small-size projects. Project screening based on project location, such as projects within a half-mile of high-quality transit. And if necessary, further VMT analysis and VMT mitigation. And the following slides will break down each phase in greater detail. Let's begin with project screening. Project screens allow city staff and developers to quickly identify low VMT projects that do not require further CEQA transportation analysis. These low VMT projects are presumed to have a less than significant impact and therefore do not require a detailed VMT study and do not require VMT mitigation. The criteria specifies that projects such as certain developments located near high-quality transit or 100% affordable housing projects should be presumed to have a less than significant VMT impact and would not require further VMT analysis or mitigation. This map shows areas of Millbrae that are considered to be high-quality transit areas and low VMT areas. The city is outlined with a thick black dashed line shown on this map. This map is for residential projects, but the process is similar for retail and office uses. Qualifying projects located in either the yellow or green highlighted areas would be screened and would not require further VMT analysis. The yellow areas are places within a half-mile of high-quality transit, which includes the Millbrae Barton Caltrain station, which is highlighted with the yellow star, and the area around Route ECR's bus stops. The green areas are considered low VMT areas, which, in this map, are places where the VMT per resident from existing development is 15% below the Bay Area's average VMT per resident. Some projects will not meet the criteria we just described and will require VMT mitigation. VMT impact mitigation strategies generally take the form of transportation demand management measures, or TDM. TDM measures include strategies related to parking, transit uses, encouraging a mix of land uses on site, and promoting active transportation and higher occupancy vehicle modes. The applicant can select TDM options and see their effectiveness in a tool provided and maintained by CCAG, the City County Association of Governments of San Mateo County, which Millbrae is a member jurisdiction of. VMT mitigation measures include site-specific and community-based measures. Example of VMT mitigations are shown here and include measures that limit the supply of parking and providing subsidized transit passes to project residents and employees. If a project does not screen out based on its characteristics, or because it's not located within a high-quality transit area, a VMT threshold of significance is used to measure if there is a significant impact and whether the project requires further analysis. The thresholds of significance shown here are for residential, office, retail, and mixed-use land use projects. These recommendations align with the state's long-range greenhouse gas reduction goals. So, for example, a residential project would not have a significant VMT impact if the area it is located in has a VMT per resident that is 15% lower than the current Bay Area average VMT per resident. For mixed-use projects, each project component is analyzed separately, so the different thresholds and levels of VMT are applied to the different land uses included in the project. The CCAG tool allows project applicants to see if their project meets this threshold of significance. And it's a slightly different process, but just like the land use screening criteria we went through, transportation projects also require a VMT analysis to see if they lead to an increase in VMT. So, for example, adding a new lane to an existing roadway makes it easier to drive, which would lead to an increase in VMT per person. This is less common for a city like Millbrae, where widening existing roadways is difficult due to limited space. Here is a list of some transportation projects that are presumed to not lead to measurable increases in VMT and would be screened from further analysis. This concludes my part of the presentation, and I'll turn it over back to Angelica.
Thank you, Alex. With that, I'd like to acknowledge that on December 4th, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended approval to adopt the proposed citywide VMT policy, implementing California Senate Bill number 743, establishing VMT as a standard measurement for analysis of potential environmental impacts under CEQA. And with that, staff recommends the City Council adopt citywide vehicle miles traveled thresholds and screening policy, establishing VMT as the metric for conducting transportation impact analysis for the purpose of environmental review under CEQA to comply with the requirements of Senate Bill number 743. Thank you. That concludes our presentation. Staff is available to answer any questions along with our consultant with Fair and Peer.
Okay, thank you so very much. Questions from the council? Anyone for the staff? Councilwoman Schneider.
I understand the concept and I support it, but I have a set of questions and they're more aligned with the staff report. So when I read through this, and I understand it's for looking at new projects, but if you look at our Millbrae Avenue, we are impacted both by our own existing projects, past projects, and adjacent properties. All of the work that Burlingame is doing right on our border, everything that SFO does has an impact on us. And it looks to me like vehicle miles traveled will not be a tool to help with any reality check of how much traffic is coming on Millbrae Avenue and Rollins Road, or Millbrae Avenue and El Camino. So am I correct that this is simply a project-related CEQA tool different from the old LOS?
That's correct. So essentially what we're doing is changing the way development projects or transportation projects are looked at if needed under CEQA. And so initially we used level of service, and now we're going to use VMT metric for specific projects.
So city manager, this might, or through the mayor, this might be something to bring back to us, because I get my entire time on council, people so concerned about the traffic flow on Millbrae Avenue and El Camino Real, and how dare we do any kind of project when we've got existing traffic issues. So if this doesn't fit within this discussion, I completely understand. But can we come back and talk? Maybe we need to do an update of transportation demand management plans. I'm very concerned. If we're building projects in Millbrae to benefit Millbrae, that's one thing. But when our neighbors are building things immediately on our border, but their traffic load is on us, how does, say, that new project on Rollins Road right behind Longfellow and Alexandria, so just a kind of a building behind Adrian, all that new project that's going to add traffic onto Rollins Road, they do their study over there, their CEQA, but it impacts us. So I just don't understand how it all is going to work in the real world.
Yeah, that's a great question, and maybe that's a question for a transportation consultant regarding the impacts of how these regional, jurisdictions within the county is impacted, and also how it relates to Millbrae.
So, and I agree. I agree that this is very project related. I get it. I understand it. But I think we're missing that big piece, because Rollins Road, of which I'm on quite a bit lately, can be hugely impacted already. And we've got all these other new projects. Ours are one thing, but having to handle everybody else from the region, because I was really hoping that this was going to handle cut-through traffic, and I don't see how a cut-through traffic measure would be done with this. So I think we need to come back on cut-through traffic. We have to do what Hillsborough has done by doing that study. They got them extra road money. So if we can, I'll shut up, if we can come back with these other future transportation cars on the road issues at a later date. Does that make sense, Mayor?
It sounds like it's a question, different agenda item.
Yeah,
It seems to me it's not, it is related, but it's not something that we need to decide tonight on that topic.
No.
Perhaps staff can take that comment back and work through it and then bring back for a future discussion. Any other comment or questions from you? Anyone else here? I saw Gina's hands up. Okay. Councilwoman Pappen.
Thank you to staff for putting this together. I know we're required by law, so good job there. And just to tail on Councilmember Schneider's comments here, it would be a good idea to get an update on the TMDs for the current developments that we have and maybe partner with our neighboring city as things progress, because there will be a lot of development in that area. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions for our staff? Okay, at this point, we'd like to open it up for public comment. Anyone else? I don't have any slip on. Open up public hearing, excuse me. I don't have any slip here, but I do believe we have a hands up on Zoom.
Yes, the first speaker will be Peninsula for Everyone, Zoom. And once I unmute you, please state your full name for the record.
Hi there. Actually, this is Nathan Chan, Millbrae resident. I'm really excited to see this policy come before this city. This is a issue that I feel very passionate about, transportation emissions being the leading source of carbon emissions that contributes to runaway climate change. I do have an issue with one of the points raised by the consultant during their presentation regarding the screening criteria being in line with the state's long-range climate goals. As of 2022, it is not. The California Air Resources Board has said that in order to to meet our climate goals, we need to reduce vehicle miles traveled by 25% by 2030 and 30% by 2040. So if the city wants to create a policy that's in line with state goals, I think that we should aim to set the screening threshold to 25% or 30%. And, you know, Millbrae is unique, as many of you I've heard many on the council say multiple times. We have proximity to transit, proximity to multimodal transit. If there's any city on the peninsula, and proximity, of course, to the major shop centers in Silicon Valley. So if there's any city that's capable of having projects that will meet that lower VMT threshold, and that should be demanding projects mitigate anything that falls above it, it is our city. So I think there's an opportunity before Millbrae to be a leader on mitigating transportation emissions, and I would urge the council to take that opportunity and set an example for not just San Mateo County, but the rest of the Bay Area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Don't have anybody else? So closing public comment. Bring it back to the council. Any further comments or questions at all? Councilwoman Cahalan?
Could we hear any input on the public comment and this process?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, I'm Alex Mary, Farron Piers. Yes, so the screening recommendations and the threshold of significance you're looking in the staff report largely follow recommendations provided in a technical advisory by the California Governor's Office of Planning and Research. And other jurisdictions throughout the peninsula have largely followed that OPR guidance, which recommends a 15% below threshold used for VMT. Yes, the California Air Resources Board has more recently kind of provided information on the amount of VMT that would be needed to be reduced to meet state climate goals, but the California Governor's Office of Planning and Research have not shifted their technical guidance and have still retained that 15% threshold recommendation. These land use decisions are just one part of many different decisions that can be made by the city to reduce greenhouse gases. So it's just one.
And Mayor, I would add to that the VMT is also a way to expedite residential development, for example. So if we move from 15% to 25%, that could create then more environmental impact reports, more burden on the residential development community. So I would suggest that I think we have a nice balance, and that we can monitor it and then come back. We can monitor it 1 to 3 years out to see how we're doing, see how it's working, seeing if it's meeting, the intent of the law to not overburden development projects, try to expedite development projects that meet the OPR and governor's office threshold. And then if we find we need more, then we can evaluate and come back and amend it.
And also, Angelica, for the record, Angelica Gonzalez with the city of Millbrae. I'd like to recognize that what I understand, to date, no peninsula jurisdiction has officially adopted VMT thresholds beyond this 15% baseline thresholds. And really the intent of adopting this proposed VMT policy is to meet SB 743. And so as our city manager has mentioned, it's something that we could explore at a later date, but staff would like to continue to proceed with the minimum 15% baseline thresholds.
Councilwoman Schneider?
I appreciate, thank you for that, and thank you, city manager. Obviously, if the state ups it from 15 to 20 or 25% or 30, then we would come back and do an ordinance update. If we were to do something in advance of the rest of the city, I'm trying to run through my head of all the grant scoring criteria that I have worked on, that maybe Councilwoman Pappen has worked on, to see if a city would get any additional credit. If we want to reduce our vehicle miles traveled, we like quite a few cities actually in the county, do not have access to shuttle systems. We've tried to get a shuttle system, but if we had a shuttle system, we could do some real changes in vehicle miles traveled. But until we are on any level playing field with the other cities that do seem to get that funding, it seems a little chicken and the egg. But I'd be open if we ever heard that having a higher VMT would open up some grant funding for us. But I'm running through my head, I can't think of anything right now. I will go back to the Cal City Transportation Committee that I serve on and see if there's anything down the pipeline that looks like it would help us with funding. So with that, I'm happy with 15%.
Okay, so we have a 50. Okay, anyone else have any other comments? Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
I know they're trying to get us to read. I would make a motion to adopt a citywide vehicle miles traveled, parentheses VMT, thresholds and screening policy establishing VMT as the metric for conducting transportation impact analysis for the purpose of environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act, parentheses CEQA, to comply with the requirements of Senate Bill number 743.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from the Vice Mayor and a motion from Councilwoman Schneider. City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Funk?
Aye.
Public hearing item number 10 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you for our staff. Next item on number 11, existing business, is Millbrae Homeless Engagement Local Program, HELP, Q4 update. And I believe we have Live Move joining us. Oh, Ms. Isabel Carlos.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. The item that you have before you is the Q4 update for the Millbrae Homeless Engagement Local Program. And we've been in the program for a year now, so this presentation is going to cover the last 4 quarters. With us tonight to conduct the presentation is Hannah Sinoway, who is the Director of Regional Initiatives for Life Moves. Without further ado, I'll pass the mic to her.
Thank you, and thank you for having us this evening. I'm also joined by my colleague, Lynette Reynoso, who's going to jump in for part of this presentation. So as Isabel mentioned, this is the Millbrae Homeless Engagement Local Program. Next slide, please. And this Millbrae Homelessness Engagement Local Program provides after-hours outreach to unsheltered folks throughout the city of Millbrae. The program duration is January 2023, and the duration will go through June of this year. The population that we serve are singles, couples, and families experiencing homelessness. The focus is the Millbrae BART station and downtown and adjacent areas. The funding is from the city of Millbrae and County of San Mateo's Working Together to End Homelessness Innovation Grant Program. Next slide, please. The staffing structure, we have 2 full-time case managers for evening and night outreach throughout the city of Millbrae. The hours there are Tuesday, 12:30 to 11:30, and then Wednesday through Friday, 3:30 to 2:30 a.m. Next slide, please. So here's kind of a snapshot on our performance data, and these metrics show the entire year of 2023. So if we look at the first performance metric, we've hit 99 unduplicated individuals, so we are on track to meet that metric by the duration at the end of June of 2024. We've served 67 unduplicated individuals receiving comprehensive case management services, and we've done 154 placements into temporary housing, and we have housed into permanent housing 4 folks, so we are 4 out of 5 of that performance metric. Next slide, please. These are surveys that were also conducted with folks, and this gives us a snapshot of how folks arrived at the BART station, what their city of residency is, and where they usually sleep. So if we look to the far left, how did you arrive at the BART station? The top 2 are BART and bus, and then you can see some other areas as well. When we look to the right, what is your city of residency? Outside of San Mateo County is the predominant, and then you can see the breakdown of the other areas. Where do you usually sleep? This is, very telling of the population that we're serving. By and large, these are folks that are sleeping outside and are unsheltered. Next slide, please. If we look at the demographic data, we've served 98 households and 99 individuals. 10% of the individuals that we've served are 65 or older. 20% reported that they are domestic violence survivors. I also want to make a note, this information is self-reporting, and often if you're doing work with folks in this population, you're not always going to get all of the self-reporting. So our guess is that some of these numbers are actually higher. This is just what folks have chosen to communicate and share with our team. 3% veterans, 40% reported a chronic health condition, 31% reported a physical disability, and 45% reported a mental health condition, 44% substance use. Next slide, please. This is the demographic data as we break it down by race, ethnicity, and age. So if you look at the age groups here, you can see that the kind of highest group that we're serving are in the ranges from 35 to 44, followed by 25 to 34. If you look on the left, you can see the breakdown here with race and ethnicity. Race and ethnicity is collected separately. So out of the 20 who identified as Hispanic or Latino, 30 identified as American Indian, Alaska Native, or Indigenous, 2 identified as Black, African American, or African, and 15 identified as white. Next slide, please. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Lynette to go a little bit more in depth with the resources and kind of some of the meat and potatoes of this program that we've been working.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Hannah. My name's Lynette. I am the Interim Associate Program Director with Lifeboats. So some resources needed. Some services that would be essential to support the clients that we serve are medical and mental health support. So services like street medicine, which is a mobile van that provides medical service in the field, as well as AOD, which is alcohol and other drugs, and HEAL, which is homeless engagement and linkages. So this is a service that is therapy in the field. Another service that could be needed is a day shift staff, so case manager to be able to continue case plans when most services are available during the day. So with the team that is currently out in Millbrae, they are out there at night, which one of the barriers is accesses to services. Long-term housing solutions, so shelter stay or motel program. Right now, we are looking at a wait list of up to 2 weeks. Next slide, please. So things that we have learned. So effective outreach strategies, applying skills like motivational interviewing and rapport building has been something that we have worked on. Overcoming barriers. There are less resources in the evening and have worked to minimize the gap in services from night to day shifts with increased collaboration. Crisis response, incorporating crisis prevention skills that include attention to nonverbal factors and diffusing risk situations. So practicing de-escalation techniques. Cultural sensitivity, ongoing efforts to implement holistic services catered to the clients and their specific experiences on their goals. Trauma informed, so recognizing the impact of trauma and offer choices. Self-care for outreach workers. So promoting self-care and healthy boundaries on our team has been very essential to serving the population that we serve. Adaptation and flexibility. Needs are always evolving in the after hours, so we go with the flow because things always change. Next slide, please. So some successes. So one of our biggest success is the strong relationships that we have with law enforcement, which has allowed us to engage more individuals. We look forward to continuing our collaboration and relationship building with our law enforcement and community partners. Relationships with shelter staff has allowed us to enter more individuals into overnight beds with minimal disruptions. 4 individuals have entered permanent housing due to a huge collaboration with our day team staff. Next slide. Questions?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the report here. Any questions from the council for our staff and for Life Move? Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, regarding the resources needed, do you have any numbers that go with that with regards to cost and impact and additional impact?
As far as, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The cost of those additional supports that may be needed?
That's something that we could come back to this group with and get more specific. If that's further discussion that would be helpful, we'd love to engage on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cahalan?
Yes, thank you so much for this presentation. And it was great this time around to have those resources needed, lessons learned, and successes. So thank you for that. I just had 2 questions. Is this an 18-month program? Is it January 1, 23 through June 24? Yes, okay, just to make sure. And then kind of indirectly related, I heard that the 90-day residency has been lifted. Is that true, or was that just a rumor?
Yes, so starting this year, that effect is no longer a thing. So that has been very helpful with the population that we serve right now.
So you're already seeing a difference in the first 20 days?
Yes, we are.
Is that, I know you mentioned a 2-week wait list for shelter. Has being was that wait list already in existence? Or is there more of a wait list now that you're able to get more people in with less barriers?
I think with it being inclement weather time and the weather changing, that more people are accessing shelter, which, on the flip side, there is a longer shelter wait list.
Has the weather reached the levels at all for any of the inclement shelters to open?
As of right now, I have seen there has been probably 2 to 3 activations this year. This past month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm excited to see the statistics that you were able to collect and be able to share with our public tonight. Would you say some of the statistics that you currently have reported, I understand, obviously LifeMove have been working throughout the entire county, not just in the city of Millbrae. Would you say that some of the statistics that you have shown here is reflective of sort of the general makeup of what you see throughout the county?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, we're going to see similar trends. With the amount of folks that we've served in Millbrae, it definitely matches what we see. Obviously, we don't have a sample size of 20 or 30,000, right, that we can make those very, very strong correlations, but we tend to see similar trends. And Lynette, feel free to jump in at any point if you have additional perspective.
Sounds accurate. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you can go back to, I think there is a couple slides that describes sort of the age group and some of the statistics that you have shown. If you can go back to that. Oop. Did I spring this on you? Sorry. Past that. Okay, here we go. So I think that's, so what would you say the age group that you see here, how big of a sample, is it the 99 sampling group?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And so it's 9% between 18 to 24, 20% is between 25 to 34, 25% is between 35 to 44, so on and so forth. And the 65 plus is at 10%. Would you say that's also reflective of what you see throughout the county?
I don't have the full numbers for age groups for all of the various programs that we serve across the county, but that is definitely something we could follow up with you. I just don't have that data in front of me for all the programs that we're running across the county.
Yeah, I'm just curious about that because, obviously we've had some data or discussions in the past where we have been told that there'll be a lot of seniors who are experiencing homelessness throughout the county. So I was a little surprised when I see this particular age group breakdown here, although it would be nice to get some clarity on these data in the future, if you would be able to share that.
Yeah, I think again, with the sample size of 100, to point to your question, it's helpful to see a bigger group to really go into that data and see that trend. So that's something we would be more than happy to share moving forward with you.
Excellent. I think last time we looked at the county, I think we're talking about, 1,800 unhoused population throughout the entire county. So with 99, so that's about 5-6% sampling group. So we certainly would love to see the continuation of these data, if you can make that available to us in the next update. Ms. Kahanan, do you have a hands up?
Yes, I was just going to say that this Thursday morning is the county point in time homeless count. So the last one was done in 2022, and those numbers are online. I'm actually trying to find them. But in the coming months here, we'll have the current county numbers that we can compare our city numbers to.
Excellent. Councilwoman Pappen, you have your hands up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to Life Moves for putting this together here. Leaving that same slide up there. we don't really want additional numbers to study. Hopefully that would not become, Hannah, a reality, but if it's need be, then yes. And I think we have to remember too, these are just the people we see. And as to the mayor's comment, generally, there are so many people living in their cars that we're not able to count.
Yeah.
The race figure is very interesting because people seem to assume specific races are, I mean, we don't want any races on there. It's at all, but that is quite interesting here. So yeah, we appreciate all of your help and efforts here. If you could, Hannah, I mean, you guys are there professionally. What percentage do you think you're missing? Just on average. Could you ballpark that?
Sure. So, in full transparency, I am new in this role. So, I hit my 3-month mark today. So, I haven't been out in the field on the ground a significant amount of time with our team. So, Lynette, I'd be happy to hear your input, and we could also circle back with this if this is something that we don't have to share right now. But, Lynette, if you feel like giving a guess, the floor is yours.
Sorry, what was the question?
Lynette, we're just trying to figure out ballpark. Is there an average number or percentage of population you think you're missing here? I mentioned the people that live in cars, but I mean, is there any way to ballpark those kind of figures? And I know that we can't be exact by any means.
Yeah, so I have gone out at night and we haven't really engaged with anyone in their vehicles as of right now. So Lucky's was an area that was pretty active with vehicles, but since that closure, we have not really seen much of a increase with people in vehicles. I think the focus lately has been the BART area. So helping the people that are coming off the BART with shelter or redirecting back to like where they need to go if they need support with that. But I think that's something that we could look into.
Yeah, because I've been to the BART station and it seems to be the top floor there.
Yeah.
You get, I would suspect, given the trash and such, that there is more people in that area. So I wonder if we're getting any figures from the BART garage area, since it's such a big facility. If anybody is going through there.
Yes, we do our rounds there daily.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I was just curious about that. Okay. Again, thank you for all your hard work and efforts. Greatly appreciated. And hopefully we can bring all these numbers way down. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pappen. Councilwoman Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Cahalan's comment about the annual, I thought it always was an annual count. Could we go to the slide that shows where people consider home? Because I've always been, thank you, that's perfect. When the county talks about the 1,800 or 1,900 people that are homeless in San Mateo County, but this looks like we've got more San Mateo County people now in Millbrae than before, when we had a greater percentage of San Francisco or Contra Costa County or Alameda County. When we do that homeless count, when the county does the homeless count, do they count the people that might be here in Millbrae all the time but consider San Francisco home? Do we get that number so we know what kind of numbers we're really trying to deal with? And then back, so that's one question. And then back to Councilwoman Pappen's comment about people sleeping in their cars. Isn't there a way with our deputies, our people on our public works directors, do we know that we have certain neighborhoods or streets or an area where people feel comfortable parking their cars and trying to get some sleep? And are they getting into the count? Or if we knew those areas, not to cause any problems, but to make sure that we have the data so we know how to connect them to the assistance that they need. Is that, and by Thursday, I'm guessing we can't do that, but is that something we can start working on? I have to say, because I still read the Mountain View newspaper, I know which streets in Mountain View would be the most popular for RV parking or the most popular for sedan cars because they report it out a lot on that. But it just gives us more data, and with good data, we can make decisions about how to help people. This is way out of my field, so I'm just kind of throwing that out there.
Yeah, please.
So
Mr.
we don't have
Williams.
much of a problem with people parking in cars. But we do, to answer your question, do provide the resources to them and provide the assistance. I think one of the things that we can check and verify, and thanks to the county and the partnership and the city council here, if you recall, you directed us to actually craft a letter to the county requesting that they take a look at their policy of a 90-day residency versus a 1-day. And with that change, that may be the reason why those statistics show more San Mateo County. So tremendous policy change, and we thank the county, for that because we're seeing great progress. But no, we do reach out, obviously with Life Moves and with the sheriff's office, our public works folks that are out. We provide all that information and access to service. The 1-day count, to answer your question, that's just a visual count. So there's no interaction between those that are taking the point in time count with any idea of residency or where they're from.
I'm sorry, just to create sort of an idea of what the county is dealing with.
Yeah.
Potentially divided by cities.
Yeah, potentially. It's 1 day, 1 point in time, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Kalen.
In regards to the count, I signed up to volunteer, so I'll be helping with it. So this is my first time, but in the training, it sounds like they break it down by census tracts, and volunteers get a census tract and drive every single street and mark off that you drive every single street. So supposedly, everything will be covered, not just certain regions. And then in terms of kind of how much are we covering and finding folks when the outreach team is out at night. I shadowed for one evening, so I know it was just one night, but I was really impressed by just how well Lynette and Jesse knew the city and kind of the different nooks and crannies and common places that folks are, and checked on those. We drove through the BART station. That was one of the first places we went. There was someone on the 5th floor. It was just really thorough of the different areas they commonly see folks, the folks that they know and are checking up on. So I was really impressed with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very thankful to see that for last year, we were able to place 88 individuals between temporary and permanent housing. With the budget we have on this program, I will say Millbrae spent wisely and effectively in being very, very effective and impactful to addressing this homelessness issue here in our city. And thank you, Life Move, for your partnership to helping, in addition to the 99, obviously, that you have surveyed, but 88 individuals. We're successful in placing them into between temporary and permanent housing. That's wonderful. That's excellent to see. And we're thankful for your partnership and look forward to continue the good work that you all do.
Thank you.
Mayor, one last thing. Yeah, the partnership between the city and Life Moves is fantastic. Also, part of that partnership is working together because we did submit a Measure K funding grant with Life Moves to continue the program and actually expand the program. So we're hoping to hear from the county shortly on the success of our grant application.
Yep. Great. So any other question before I open up for public comment? I think we need to take some public comment here. Okay. Do we have anybody? Elaine.
Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Okay, bring it back. Any further comment, or else I can accept the motion to receive the report from Live Move for this quarter? Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Cahalan.
I'll second, but do you want to read the motion in, Councilwoman Kaelin?
Just accept the Millbrae Homelessness Engagement Local Program Q4 update.
And I second.
Okay, we have a second from Councilmember Schneider. City Clerk, please do a roll call.
Councilmember Snyder,
Yes.
Councilmember Pappen,
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman,
Aye.
Mayor Fung.
Aye.
Existing business number 11 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. And we're moving on to existing business number 12, adoption of a resolution awarding a construction contract to Bayside Stripe and Seal, Inc. for the 2023 Traffic Calming Improvement Project. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just simply like to introduce our Director of Engineering and Public Works, Mr. Sam Batista.
Mr. Batista.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members, Sam Bautista, Director of Public Works and Engineering. So I just wanted to give you some introductory remarks before the presentation. So in 2019, the City of Millbrae started the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program. The objective is to improve the safety of residents with Millbrae, within Millbrae by incorporating strategies to reduce traffic volumes and speed. There were 3 community workshops during that time, and residents were able to provide their input to help form and create this program. From that, staff has implemented some traffic calming measures, such as the high visibility crosswalks and painted bulb out at Millbrae Avenue and Poplar Avenue, and the concrete bioswale bulb out on Taylor Boulevard and Almanar. As requests from residents are received, staff will analyze them for implementation or program it within the capital improvement program. Staff will also look for grants that will help fund these improvements. And for those in the audience or at home, the city has a website for the Neighborhood Traffic Calming Program at www.Millbrae Traffic Calming, which is one word, .com. And with that, let me introduce Mr. Armando Mora, the Senior Civil Engineer, to start his presentation for item number 12.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This presentation is for traffic calming. First slide. The City of Millbrae has, as the Public Works Director has mentioned, has a neighborhood traffic calming program to help identify and implement traffic calming measures whenever practical on neighborhood streets. The city started this program with the first of 3 workshops on February 18th, 2019. There were 8 segments identified. Traffic calming improvements have been implemented on Millbrae Avenue and Taylor Avenue. The goal of traffic calming projects are to improve traffic safety operations for motorists and pedestrians in residential neighborhoods and school zones, and enhance the quality of life for the residents. Next slide, please. Traffic calming can be physical street improvements, striping, or pavement markings to reduce vehicle speeds and manage cut-through traffic. These photographs show some examples in the city of traffic calming improvements. The 2 on the left are on Millbrae Avenue. The far left is the one near Mills High School at the skate park. The middle one is at Poplar Avenue. And the far right is raised crosswalk at Lincoln Circle. Next slide, please. Under the federally funded Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program, CMAQ, the city was awarded a grant for $272,689 with a city match required of $35,331. This project is listed in the fiscal year 23 and 24 Capital Improvement Program. Next slide, please. The project consists of improvements on 3 streets, San Anselmo Avenue from San Juan Avenue to Center Street, Santa Teresa Way from Park Boulevard to Lomita Avenue, Park Boulevard from Santa Susana to Cypress Avenue. These streets are shown on this map along with Cappuccino High School. Next slide, please. The project improvements consist of stripe bulb outs, 5 along Park Boulevard, reflective flexible posts, 42 on Park Boulevard, high visibility crosswalks, 10 in various locations, greenback show rows and signage for a Class 3 bikeway along San Anselmo, 1 mile in length, rubberized and striped medians, 4 along Park Boulevard, signage and striping throughout the project. Next slide, please. This slide shows the intersection of Park Boulevard and Cypress Avenue where the project will install 4 rectangular rapid flashing beacons. The first photograph on the left is a view from Cypress Avenue looking towards Park Boulevard. The one on the right is the view along Park Boulevard looking east at Cypress Avenue. Next slide, please. This slide of Park Boulevard shows some of the proposed improvements: stripe bulb outs, reflective posts, high visibility crosswalks, rubberized and striped medians, signage and striping. Next slide, please. This slide shows the intersection of Santa Teresa Way and Lomita Avenue of the proposed high visibility yellow crosswalks to be installed. Next slide. This slide of San Anselmo Avenue shows the shared road pavement markings to be installed there. Next slide, please. Bid results. A notice of bidders was published on October 11th, 2023. Bid opening was November 15th, 2023. 2 bids were received from Bayside Stripe and Seal and Chris Company. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder was Bayside Stripe and Seal. Their reference checks were satisfactory. Their bid of $282,820 was slightly above the engineer's estimate of $280,000. Next slide, please. Staff recommends the City Council adopt a resolution to award a construction contract to Bayside Stripe and Seal Incorporated in the amount of $282,820 for the 2023 traffic calming improvement project. Establish a project contingency of $28,282 for a total project budget not to exceed $311,020, and to authorize the city manager or designee to execute the contract and all contract change orders up to the project budget. This concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mora. Any questions from our council to our staff, please? I didn't see your hands up. So. Yes, please.
Thank you. This is fantastic. It's very exciting to have that. Councilman, Deputy Mayor Marty Medina and I sat at the intersection down by Lomita Park School and watched how everybody is going and how many kids and how many adults walking and then how many people tearing through that area. So this is just truly, truly exciting, as well as the work on near Cappuccino. I have a question. When do you think this is actually, when is the work going to happen?
This is the month of January. We're anticipating that the contractor should start, or construction should start in the month of March and April.
So the reason I asked is we're bringing back the bike rodeo. Thank you, Chief Allen, out there. I think the tentative date is May 11th. And first of all, we would love all the drawings at the bike rodeo, but I'm wondering if to go back to city's bike pedestrian committee to work on maybe a walk to school, bike to school day once these are in, and we do sort of there's a program where a teacher pretends to be a school bus or a parent pretends to be that, but we can introduce a lot of the public to these new tools, both at Cappuccino, but especially at Lomita Park School. In fact, that makes me think maybe we should have the bike rodeo down there, but that's for a different discussion. But I think this is fantastic. I am so glad to see it happening, and good work.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, just
Mr. Vice Mayor?
a question around liquidated damages. Are there any mention to liquidated damages in the contract?
Yes, there is, $500 a day.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, if you like. Okay. Yeah, it's just exciting to see that, our staff continue to be very conscientious and very successful in getting the grant so that we can get these much-needed traffic calming projects done. That's going to help keep our pedestrian, motorist, and a cyclist at the same time just a little safer throughout the entire city, one project at a time. So it's exciting to see. So without any other further question, I'll take some public comment. I don't have any slips here. Elaine, do we have anybody online?
We do not have any hands raised online.
Thank you so much. Bring it back to the council. Any further comment, or I can entertain a motion? Councilwoman Schneider.
Happy to make a motion for agenda item 12, adoption of a resolution awarding a construction contract to Bayside Stripe and Seal, Inc. for 2023 traffic calming improvement project.
Thank you.
Second?
We have a second from Mr. Vice Mayor. Any further comment? City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
Item number 12 passed by with a vote of 5-0.
Through the mayor.
Yes, please.
Could you let us know when the work starts so maybe we can come down and watch it? I missed the one at Green Hills and up at Meadows, so I would love to watch some of the work on that.
Yes, we'll do that.
And hopefully we can get the word out to people and they can learn what these various quick builds are. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So item 13, adoption of a resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Moffett and Nickel to add engineering service during construction for the 2023 Nearshore Outfall Restoration Project. 2, awarding a construction contract to Disney Construction. Number 3, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute task order number 3 with Gerardali Associates for construction management services. And number 4, establishing a 15% project contingency budget for 2023 Nearshore Outfall Restoration Project. City manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to introduce Mr. Sam Batista, our Director of Public Works and Engineering, and our Senior Civil Engineer, Nicole Tandell.
Thanks for joining us, Director.
Yes, good evening again. I just wanted to say that this is Nicole's first time at the podium, so I just wanted to wish her good luck and welcome her here to the City Council meeting. So just to give you a brief introduction for this project, as an engineer, this is one of those projects that is very interesting. There's everything involved from hydrology, hydraulics, environmental, you name it, it's hard construction. And with that, Nicole comes from the private sector coming into the public sector and brings a large amount of wealth. And so with that, she will come here and do her presentation and blow you guys away.
Welcome, Ms. Tandell. I promise we'll be nice.
I'll live up to that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Tandell. I'm a senior civil engineer.
You get a little closer to the mic,
A little
please.
closer to the mic.
Thank
There's
you.
the mic. So again, my name is Nicole Tandell. I am a senior civil engineer with the city of Millbrae, and I'm here to present on the Nearshore Outfall Restoration Project. Just a brief overview of this presentation. We're going to go over the project background, the vicinity, and purpose. Then we're going to go through a description and construction of the project, just some brief details, environmental stewardship during construction, our project team, and finally our staff recommendation. Slide. Project background. The city of Millbrae treats wastewater at the Water Pollution Control Plant, called the WPCP. The city is part of the North Bayside System Unit, called the NBSU, and shares a force main, called a pipeline, and outfall with the cities of Burlingame, San Bruno, South San Francisco, and the airport. Treated water, called effluent, is transported to the San Francisco Bay via the NBSU force main from the Millbrae WPCP to the South San Francisco WPCP, and finally to the NBSU outfall. So an outfall structure is a point where effluent is released into the body of water, such as the bay. And you can see in the bottom right corner, an example of an outfall is a pipe that just lets water trickle out into another body of water. The historical nearshore outfall, located in close proximity to the WPCP, was used until NBSU came into operation in circa 1970. You can see that map on the upper right corner. We have our project location as that red dot, which is our nearshore outfall in Millbrae, and the NBSU up there right off Oyster Point, further north. So this project will reconstruct the nearshore outfall that was abandoned over 50 years ago. Next slide. Here's a vicinity map just to give you an idea of where this project physically is. So you can see the nearshore outfall is the yellow star, right across from the WPCP at the end of Millbrae Avenue, about 1.5 miles from City Hall. Next slide. Project purpose. Heavy rain events are increasing in frequency due to climate change, and as a result, infiltration and outflow, called I&I, seeps into the sewer system through cracks, increasing flow into the WPCP for treatment. When NBSU is at capacity, it can no longer take on any more effluent from the cities which use it. This can cause a backup at our WPCP of treated water waiting to be discharged, potentially causing WPCP structures to overflow. So in 2020, the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board mandated that cities establish a backup discharge for NBSU maintenance or emergencies. This project will restore the outfall and serve as a backup system to handle effluent during heavy rain events or if the NBSU pipeline is being repaired for any reason. Next slide. Here's a picture of our current outfall unit. You can see there really is not much left, just those wooden piles kind of sticking out of the water. So it needs a lot of love to get back to operational state. Next slide. Project description, like I said, this is going to restore the non-operational nearshore outfall by replacing storm drain lines and outfall structures. Historically, the structure used only one pipe for all water. This is going to replace the single pipe with two pipes. One will be a 24-inch HDPE pipe for treated water from the WPCP, and the other will be a 15-inch HDPE pipe for stormwater runoff. These new pipes will be supported on concrete columns or piles 4 feet above the ground and will include aluminum flap gates and erosion protection. Next slide. Here's just a visual demonstration of what all that looks like. We have the 24-inch HDPE that will be connected to the manhole that currently exists on South McDonald Road. This manhole is currently connected all the way to our WPCP. The connection has to be reactivated. Next to that, we have the 15-inch HDPE. That is connected to a drain inlet right next to the manhole on South McDonald. And both pipes are gonna flow to the 4-foot pile structure and erosion protection before being discharged into the bay. So to the right, you can see what that looks like in profile. This is also an outfall unit that is supported on concrete piles. It's much bigger than this one's gonna be though. That's just a good example of what it looks like. Next slide. The construction process, much in brief here. The construction is expected from early June to mid-August 2024. First step is to trench from the existing manhole to the outfall, and the trench will be roughly 95 feet long. Step 2 is construction of the piles for the elevated discharge point. Then they're going to install the HDPE pipes in that trench, connect both pipes to the existing manhole and drain inlet. Finally, they're going to install the flap gates and erosion protection at the end, and then it'll be done. Next slide. Environmental stewardship. As you can tell, this is a pretty sensitive area. So in order to protect it, there will be a number of things. There's going to be a pre-construction survey for sensitive species by a biologist. Avoidance and minimization measures will be taken, such as restricting vehicle use, minimizing disturbance, and conducting worker environmental awareness training. Disturbed intertidal areas with native plant species will be restored after construction. And all fill materials for the trench and the rest of this area will be reused from materials already on site, so no introduction of new things. Excavation and installation will occur during low tide levels to minimize the impact. Since this is such an environmentally sensitive area, this project has been reviewed and permitted by pretty much everyone you can think of. The Bay Conservation Development Condition, the airport, the Regional Water Board, the FAA, and the Army, and concurrence has been obtained from the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Marine Fisheries Service. Next slide. The proposed project team. For engineering and services during construction, Moffitt and Nickel performed design work for the project in 2020. Engineering services were not originally included in their scope, so we proposed to amend the contract to include engineering services for $42,466. The construction bid results. The notice to bidders was published in November 1st, 2023. We received 8 bids. Disney Construction was the lowest bid at $845,700, much lower than the engineer's estimate of $1,200,000. Finally, construction management and inspection. Ghirardelli Associates is proposed for construction management at $39,880. We consider them to be the highest ranked and most qualified. So, last slide. Staff recommendation. So we recommend that City Council authorize an amendment to Moffitt & Nichols' contract for engineering support in the amount of $42,466. Award a construction contract to Disney Construction in the amount of $845,700. Authorize task order number 3 for on-call construction management services to Ghirardelli Associates in the amount of $39,880. And authorize the city manager to execute contracts and change orders up to the project contingency for a total project budget of $1,068,403 for the 2023 Nearshore Outfall Restoration Project.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tendell.
Good job.
Okay, all right. So any questions from council? Ms. Schneider.
Excellent. And it's been a long time since we've seen that many bidders on any project. So I don't know if that means that the economy is turning around or you wrote a really, really good RFP. So congratulations on that. Was that a harvest mouse in that picture? Do we have harvest mouse?
Yeah, that's actually one of the endangered species.
Really, I did not, we should, but I didn't know that. So I look forward, if you could just send me the list of the protected species on that. Is there any opportunity when the work is done for replanting that a youth group might be able to help and get that biological experience?
Potentially we'll look into it.
Can we talk about that? I mean, I'm a Save San Francisco Bay member. They do these projects all over the Bay, but they haven't done one anywhere near us. But we have a lot of homegrown kids, and getting muddy and planting things would be life-changing for them. I think this is fantastic and I'm so happy to hear this because last year when we had the atmospheric rivers, our other outflow, and it was talked about in here, but Burlingame comes first, and there was so much pressure that we couldn't get rid of ours, which means we could have sewer sanitary overflows, which means Baykeeper comes back at us. So this is just really great to get these things that have been on the to-do list done and keep us safe from future lawsuits. So welcome aboard. Good job.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, great job. Quick question about how we came to the 15% contingency versus the typical or best practice like of 10% contingency.
This project, a number of things. It's in a very sensitive area. It has to happen in a very quick time frame just to try to get outside of the breeding season and migration season for all of the endangered animals, but before heavy rains, because you don't want to construct there in the heavy rains. So it's a number of things that could cause some extra costs. We thought it was best to be a little conservative.
Okay. Some of the unknowns, basically.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to thank you very much for the thorough presentation. Loved getting some pictures of the site and really seeing that visual. And, we have so many members of the public that, may not necessarily join us here, but watch later. I really appreciate the background info and the language so that all of the technical speak is translated to make it accessible for everyone. So thank you very much. Just one question I had, and I guess this is more just a general question. I know obviously we want to always go for the best bid to ensure our budget we're being fiscally responsible and good stewards. In this one, it looks great that they came in, they're so low from what the engineers anticipated. do we always go with the lowest, or are there some times where maybe there's something a little higher, but still under the engineer's bid? You know, do we ever come into cases of, oh, we went for the lowest and then we got what we paid for situation? Just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we go with the lowest responsible bidder. So sometimes it's not the lowest bidder, but it's the lowest responsible bidder. And by law, we have to go with the lowest responsible bidder. So there are times where we might have a low bid, but some of the background may be that they're in litigation or they have a history of being over budget and behind schedule or something, and then we can deem that they're not a responsible bid. So that's the way it works. Mr. Connor?
The finding someone to be non-responsible is kind of a big deal, and they often fight back at that. So it's pretty unusual for us to do that, and it's just the way the state law has been written. We take the low bidder, and unfortunately, sometimes we live with the consequences because sometimes they bid low and try to make up the difference with claims and stuff. That's why we have contingencies, but we try to monitor that. But no, that's just the world we operate in.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Any other question from anyone? Okay, so I don't have any speaker slip, Elaine. Do we have anybody online?
We do not have any speaker slip or speakers online.
Okay, thank you. So bring it back to the council. Any further comment, or I can entertain a motion?
I would love to make the motion, but it's scary long.
You can make the motion. I'll take a motion from Councilwoman.
I don't want to deprive anybody else from
Okay,
taking motions.
Yeah, I don't think we need to read it.
A second.
We'll have a second from Mr. Vice Mayor. Any further comment? City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes, sorry.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
Item number 13, to adopt a resolution authorizing the amendment of the agreement with Moffett and Nickel to add engineering support services during the construction in the amount of $43,466 for the 2023 Nearshore Outfall Restoration Project, awarding a construction contract for the project to Disney Construction in the amount of $845,700, and authorizing city manager or designee to execute the task order number 3 for on-call construction management services in the amount of $39,880 to Girardelli Associates, and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the contracts and all contract change order up to the project contingency of 15% of $139,357 for additional or unseen work for the total project budget of $1,068,403, and the motion carried by 5-0.
You did such a good job reading it. So that's wonderful. Item number 14, new business. Waive the first reading and introduce an ordinance amending and restating Chapter 604 of Title 6 of the Millbrae Municipal Code regarding animal control. City Manager, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce our Community Development Director, Mr. Andy Mogensen, for the staff presentation.
Good to see you, Director.
Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce Lori Morton-Fiesel, who is joining us online. Lori is the deputy. Actually, Lori, can you hear us if you're there on Zoom?
Yes, I can absolutely hear you.
I forgot your title, if you could repeat that for me.
Yeah, I'm the program manager of animal control and licensing for the county.
Thank you for joining us this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our presentation here. The next slide, please. So the city of Millbrae contracts through San Mateo County to have Peninsula Humane Society provide animal control services for the city. The agreement that we have specifies that participating agencies maintain consistent animal control ordinance regulations and fee schedules unless otherwise negotiated. And we, of course, are one of many, many cities here that utilize them for animal control services. Next slide, please. So the last time both our ordinance and the county's animal control ordinances were updated was in 2006, so it has been some time. And with that in mind, they did form a committee of stakeholders and representatives of participating cities, including Millbrae. Millbrae participated in that committee to take a look at the county's animal control ordinance and give input on updates. Next slide, please. So the committee identified opportunities to clarify existing language, remove repetitive language, and add substantive changes with an emphasis on increasing efficiency and enforcement, clarifying language that was deemed confusing, and also addressing some deficiencies that they had learned over years of experience with the prior code. So the updated ordinance provides a more effective enforceability, it streamlines processes, and it provides clarity in definitions based on real-world experience, and of course it enhances public safety because public safety is at the core of what animal control does. Next slide, please. So there's a few examples of things that this ordinance does. It updates definitions to improve capabilities and remove areas of confusion. For example, definitions related to dangerous and vicious animals have been updated. The ordinance aligns with state law. For example, it lowers the rabies vaccination age requirement to be consistent with state law because, of course, things have changed since 2006. The new ordinance contains updated language regarding, as I mentioned, animals that are designated as vicious or dangerous. It updates the procedures to be consistent with current standards, practical enforcement methodology, and safety protocols. So, for example, if there is an animal that is previously, if you had an animal that was designated as dangerous, that designation would remain with the animal for the rest of its life. But now this new provision allows pet owners who have an animal with that title to have it removed after 3 years to be lifted with some review. So there's some new methodology here. And then, of course, there's an updated fee schedule and updated administrative citation clarifications. So it's a really good cleanup. I have Lori here. If you next slide, please. Here to answer questions, and if you have any questions about the animal control program. And with that, we recommend that the City Council waive the first reading and introduce an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 6.04 with the draft code before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. We have Ms. Pappen raising hand.
Good timing on this one. Where do coyotes fall in this process? We are having a lot of encounters during the day, a little too close for comfort in my area in particular. So besides the postman getting all excited and everybody else who runs into them, can anybody tell us what do we do? There seem to be more of them and more frequent encounters.
Yes, thank you for having me this evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and the residents of Millbrae. Whenever there's a coyote sighting, it needs to be reported to Fish and Wildlife. They are the ones that oversee any type of wildlife such as mountain lions, bobcats, and coyotes. They are keeping track, they keep a log, and it is reported to them. So whenever that happens, residents can actually call my office and I can give them the information on who to contact at the state.
Okay, that'd be great. And if we could share that information on our website too. I didn't realize it was Fish and Game.
Yes.
Very interesting. And how are we doing, just out of curiosity, population-wise?
Population as far as coyotes or as far
Animals in our shelters?
I mean, looking at the statistics, and I have the 2022 statistics, Millbrae had 263 animals in the shelter. And as far as service calls by the animal control officers, it was 234 that within Millbrae.
Oh, you're just talking about what was found in Millbrae or turned in? I was just talking.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Hold on a second.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I wasn't talking specifically about animals in Millbrae, just our region here, San Mateo County.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are much lower than they've been in the past as far as what was in the shelter. I mean, in the shelter, of course, during the pandemic, everybody was adopting animals. Then they started to return them back to the shelter, which created a problem for the shelter. But we're starting to level out. The shelter handles about 7,000 animals a year on average coming in their doors. And that's definitely a change from past years. So we're getting better compliance with spay and neuter and people taking responsibility for their pets.
And if someone has a pet, can they bring them in for the spay and neuter? How does that work?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have a voucher program that $1 from every license goes into a trust fund. And any resident within the county, no matter their income, can apply for a voucher, which helps pay for that spay and neuter. Currently, the Humane Society is booked. They're the only low-cost spay and neuter clinic around, other than Pets in Need, who is doing some cats and dogs. But any resident can apply for that spay and neuter voucher.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman Pappen. Councilwoman Schneider.
Thank you. Great report, great reading. Question possibly relevant to our poor councilwoman. The Chronicle had an article last week or the week before about a vicious dog, so vicious, not dangerous, dog attack. And the dog was taken in by the city county of San Francisco, but had to be released because the actual attack was in the national park. So I went through all of the language in this report, trying to figure out that if we had a dog attack or any other animal attack on any of the land owned by regional public agencies, would we have that same problem that San Francisco had? They had to give back a vicious dog who bit a woman. It was over 10 times, this lady on Crissy Field, but they had to release the dog back. So I just wanted to know if this attack happened on SFPUC land here in Millbrae or SFO land or Caltrine land or BART land, would the Humane Society be able to keep that vicious dog?
If an attack of that nature or any other nature took place, if it was a vicious attack, the animal would be impounded and held at the Humane Society until it could be determined if it were vicious. In my tenure, both working at the Humane Society and now at the county, I have never known an instance where a state or federal entity has overrid the decision for a vicious animal. So any of the parks, GGNRA, we would still enforce our law and keep that animal and follow the procedures for a hearing and have a hearing officer hear that case. But the animal would be promptly impounded and we would pursue. Yes.
Very glad to hear that. That was not the result. I think it was the Presidio. It was a jurisdictional issue, so I'm glad we're on top of it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Do we have any speaker online?
There are no speakers online or any speaker slips.
Okay, excellent. Bring it back to the council. Any further comment or questions? Okay. Anyone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Vice Mayor, making a motion.
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Cahalan. Any final comments? City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
And the motion to waive the first reading and introduce our ordinance amending restating Chapter 6.04 of Title 6 of Millbrae Municipal Code regarding animal control. Motion passed by a 5-0.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Item 15, adoption of a resolution awarding a construction contract to Laurel Horticultural Services of San Mateo, California for the Millbrae Drought Tolerant Landscaping Project. Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you. Again, I'd just like to introduce Mr. San Batista, Director of Public Works and Engineering.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members. I have the privilege of introducing Ms. Andrea Papajohn, who's going to be giving you the presentation on this really great project that Public Works environmental programs will be doing in the next several months. You know, this is going to be one of those great feeling projects. It'll make City Hall look great. So Andrea and her team will be leading this effort, and here she is, and she'll be giving you the presentation.
Thanks for joining us, Ms. Papajohn.
Thank you, Mayor Fong, Vice Mayor Goodman, and council members. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm Andrea Papajohn, City of Millbrae. So I'm here to recommend an adoption of a resolution awarding a construction contract to Laurel Horticulture for the Millbrae Drought Tolerant Landscape Project. Next slide, please. So the city has already converted part of City Hall landscape to drought tolerant. The picture on the left was before it was converted in about 2017, and the picture on the right is what it looks like today. Next slide, please. So this project continues the previous landscaping effort in front of City Hall, and the city received a Bureau of Reclamation grant to convert the landscape in front of the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office and in front of Fire Station 37. Next slide, please. So on this map, you can see in green the drought tolerant landscaping project from 2017, which has already been done. And outlined in red is the scope of the project for this project. Next slide, please. So we just wanted to share some examples of drought tolerant planting. So just an example, a picture on the left is of a bioswale. And it really allows for the collection and conveyance and infiltration of stormwater. And then the picture on the top right is just an example of a metal plaque identifying the type of plant to help educate people who walk by and might want to know what that plant is. Next slide, please. So the scope of the project is to replace 8,000 square feet of lawn with drought-tolerant landscaping. The landscaping will be pollinator friendly. It will use cobble in the bioswale, filters rainwater, recharges groundwater, reduces runoff and soil erosion. And we will also replace the existing spray irrigation with drip irrigation. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the existing project area. On the left, Fire Station 37, what it looks like today, and the right, the SMC Sheriff's Office. Next slide, please. So here are some of the plants that we'll be using, the pollinator-friendly plants. We've identified some of them that are in the plans. So we're really looking forward to the springtime when, this blossoms right in front of our City Hall. Next slide, please. And some examples of the use of cobble and decomposed granite, again, to help with runoff and flooding prevention during rainy weather events, erosion control, improve water quality by filtering, etc. Okay, next slide, please. Yep, and here's just an explanation of the spray versus drip irrigation. So spraying water, evaporates, so lawns consume more water. And the picture on the right, it shows drip irrigation, which we'll be installing. Water is closer to the soil, which reduces evaporation, and less water is used. Next slide, yep. Here is a color rendering of the plans in front of the Sheriff's Office. So it's hard to make it bigger, but just kind of gives you a just general idea. Next slide, please. And so the goals of the project are to really showcase City Hall landscaping and as an example of drought-tolerant planting and irrigation for residents and visitors, to reduce water consumption and cost, and an example to residents of some types of drought-tolerant planting. Okay, next slide, please. So staff recommends the City Council adopt a resolution awarding a construction contract to Laurel Horticulture Services of San Mateo for the Millbrae drought-tolerant landscaping project, authorize a total project budget not to exceed $168,115.20, and to authorize the city manager or designee to execute the contract and all contract change orders up to the project budget. And next slide. So that's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Papajohn. We'll take some questions from the council, if anybody. Anyone?
Of course.
Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Papajohn. Great report. Couple of questions. Is there any opportunity in the contract, kind of like with the other project, that some of the youth clubs in Millbrae might be able to come in and help with any part of it?
We could look into that.
If you could.
Yes, thank you for that idea.
Speaking just for the Leos, we've got over 150 kids, and many of them middle schoolers. And what the mayor will find out now is the PTO of Taylor will be saying they're really trying to find projects for middle schoolers to get them away from their phones and doing something physical together. So in trying to do partnership with the schools, this could be a really lovely one. They could be Leos, but they could be other kids. We've talked a little bit about this on community enhancement. And right now our labeling out here has the water droplets for the drought tolerant. But do we have a new symbols, and are there universal symbols for, say, a pollinator plant versus a monarch butterfly plant? And I noticed that mallow wasn't on the list, and if there's any chance to bring in something specific to monarch butterflies since they're so dying back.
Yeah, great. We can definitely look into a symbol for the plaques to identify pollinators and the other, did you say mallow?
Mallow, very specific mallow for the very specific monarch butterflies we have, and you know that Carol knows all of that. Carol Krasilnikoff, our vice chair.
Yes.
This last question, and I'm looking at our acting fire chief, there are a new set of plants coming out that are to be encouraged for people living in WUIs. I don't know any of them. There are certain plants that are really bad to have when you're in a WUI, but then there are the good plants. And I'm wondering, since we didn't see a design for the fire station, maybe we could find some of those plants and use them. And to the public, if you wonder why Anna's so excited about this, the City Hall, our pollinator garden, our cherry trees, some of the other projects that we've done in Millbrae are there to show the public how we can live with nature or using nature-based solutions for things. So if we could add, and I'd have to do some homework, or we'd have to do, MCAP maybe do some homework on the plants that are more fire resistant. But I know that that's a whole new phase now. And for the public watching, Millbrae, our entire west side, so from San Bruno, from Unipacera Park to Truesdale, that whole west side is a WUI. So for those homes up there, if we can encourage them to avoid those bad plants and plant these good plants, we're in a better place. But this is exciting educational opportunity. So if the kids can help, that's great. If not, I understand with the contract. But, you know, we did the Adopt a Spot with Leos, and they dug up grass, they dug up boulders, they did soil prep. So if there's any way to work the kids in, and I don't want to limit to Leos, it could be Interact, could be any youth club, could be YAC.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think that's a great idea. We'll see what we can do.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, anyone else? Okay, all right, so I don't have any speaker slip. I don't think there is any speaker online either, is that right?
That's correct, Mayor. There's no hands raised online, and there's no speaker slip.
Okay, closing public comment. Any final comments? Okay, any motions?
So moved.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Second.
And we have a second from Councilmember Cahalan. Any final comment? City Clerk, please do a roll call.
Councilmember Snyder?
A happy yes.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Fung?
Aye.
Item number 15 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you so much, Ms. Papajohn.
Thank
Look
you
forward
very
to
much.
all these brand new landscaping. All right, so that brings us to council comment. Who would like to go first? Ms. Schneider.
Okay, Community Development Director Morganson, you're still here. He attended the Millbrae Community Enhancement Committee, and we talked about the tree ordinance, and we talked about the fact that Millbrae may not have any trees that we consider heritage. And I've been thinking about that, but we just planted a cherry tree for Martin Luther King. We planted 2 oak trees at last year's MLK, the memorial trees. So I think I'll reach back to Jean Wong and tell her that I think we could begin to identify. They're little right now, but someday, or just by their naming, I think, don't they become heritage trees? So that was just an issue that came up in terms of the tree ordinance, which will be coming to us in the second February meeting. BOSCWA, the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency, met. We had our once annual year fiscal report. We're in good fiscal shape. For staff, thank you for all the work you've been doing on Tier 2. They're still negotiating Tier 2. It's going to expire this year, so we're on an 11-month timeline for that. It had been a very dry fall, so our previous report had been things were not looking really good, but there's been a lot of wet snow. So now when I watch the Tahoe report, we're looking for wet snow. Maybe not avalanches, but wet snow is really good. And then lovely to announce that a friend of Millbrae, Louis Vela, who represents the Water District down in Belmont, is the new vice chair, and Tom Chalmers of Westboro Water, which is right above us, above San Bruno, is the new chair. The San Mateo Emergency Response Committee has a brand new director, and this is my 9th year now on this, and this is the first time a director of emergency services has come to the council and said, we want to work on disaster preparedness countywide, but very much at the city level, so city-specific disasters, and it's lovely to hear that. Her emphasis, because the county emphasis has been on wildfires, that for us, it's also flooding and heat waves. BPAC met, and thank you, Community Development Director, and I believe we have set a date of May 13th for our bike rodeo. We haven't had a bike rodeo since 2019. I think the chief has it well in hand, so BPAC committee is working together with Valerie and others with the Millbrae Police Bureau on that. We did talk about one thing that we don't think has to come to city council, but for example, kids outgrow their bicycles. So what we'd like to do this year that would be something new and advertise it months in advance is if you have a child's bicycle, any bicycle that you don't need anymore and you want to bring it there, we're going to try to find new homes for it. We could call it a bike swap, but that really means give and take. It really means if you need a bicycle or possibly a scooter, as well as the helmets that will be given out, this is that opportunity. So if we're set on the date, we can begin advertising that and people can, instead of putting them on next door or in front of the house, we can try to get those kids. And sheriff or chief, I don't want to speak for you, but if anything left over, the sheriff's department has the capacity to take leftovers and get them to other people who need them on that. And then at Cal Cities, I welcome Mayor Fung to the Transportation, Communication, and Public Workshop, but we had our goal-setting meeting this week. The top goals through the survey was broadband and complete streets. So the rest of us had to actually fight to get water back on the top list and infrastructure. And normally Cal Cities, our lobbyist at that level, only like 3 priority areas. But this time we're going for 5. So it'll have water, infrastructure, gas tax, broadband, and complete streets on that.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like to go?
Yes. Let's see, what did I say? I guess I'll start with the team building that this council participated in on Friday of last week and Saturday. We all know you can't choose your family and you can't choose your colleagues if you're on council. And so it was great to participate in this team building, even though a year late, since we had new council members and the dynamic of our team has changed. It's good to know that we were able to begin to work on some trust building and some recommitment, not to just our community, but to each other, and begin to lead by example. And so I commend my colleagues for their ability to be vulnerable in moments of challenge and potential change. I think it's going to be an effort that we're all going to see the fruits of our labor very soon. So thank you, colleagues. Up next, I want to talk about the day of service for Dr. King. Participated in the tree planting, but also the cleanup with the young Leos. That was great. It was a great activity. See the community come out and participate and work with each other to honor Dr. King and the day of service. And then on the heels of that, with Dr. King, he always says an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so for that, I do want to acknowledge and commend Mr. Musa for his courage in coming to present and ask the question of if the city of Millbrae would honor and hold a resolution for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza and the return of all hostages and allow food and water and medical supplies to get to Gaza without fear of being killed. I appreciate that because that goes a long way to our many residents that share your concerns, and I appreciate the fact that you trust us with that ask, because there are so many people that are silenced. So I appreciate for doing that. And then lastly, as your representative on the League of California Cities Peninsula Division, I'd like to invite all of my colleagues to the annual legislative address on the 26th at HP from 5:30 to 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pappen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize again for not being able to attend tonight, but that's good. We got a lot of business done, so that's great. Also, compliments to the city on the MLK celebration. It was a wonderful event, and I went from there to the South City event, where a community garden was being built at one of the local schools. So very, very nice as well. I also attended Don Horsley's celebration of life, our former supervisor who passed recently, and just all the amazing contributions he had to the residents, the people, the entire county. It was really a great celebration there, and I think they taped it, so if you get an opportunity. And let's see, Senior Advisory Committee met recently, and again, you were briefed that there is a survey going on. They are very, very active as usual here with the lunches, senior lunches, and calling people on their birthdays. If you know any seniors who haven't signed up yet, they have a newsletter out, so please look online, and it's just a wonderful way to get the community together, and particularly our seniors. They have a really great time together, and we want to make sure we're reaching everyone so nobody is isolated. Also, let's see, a meeting tomorrow with MTC on San Mateo County priorities, one of which is Millbrae and getting our station on the list for improved signage, and also still coordinating the schedules. In addition to that, BART is having their board meeting on Thursday. They will be discussing retail in their stations. So we have 5 stations in San Mateo County. I am hoping I will try to speak via Zoom at their meeting to allow our individual cities to take over the retail, which should have been there for the last 20 years. There are kiosks within our station and a couple other stations in San Mateo County. It's time to improve the rider experience, and we hope we can assist them in that endeavor, because it will definitely be a great, great improvement. I too appreciated the team building this last Saturday and Friday. Hopefully we can really come together and focus on the work of the city and getting everything done. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Pappen. Councilmember Cahalan.
Yes, I I was very grateful to be a part of our Martin Luther King Day of service. As everyone has already said, it was just a wonderful turnout and participation by everyone who attended. We had our Movers and Shakers, Millbrae Movers and Shakers event where the Lions and Rotary, Peninsula Chinese Business Association all came together celebrating all the organizations that support our schools and our students here in the city. And, it's just another reminder of how many amazing folks we have in our city coming together, supporting each other, and in this case, especially supporting the youth in our city. So very, very proud to be a part of that. Some updates from the Park and Rec Commission meeting this month. The dates for Beats and Brews this year have been set, so keep an eye out for that. One change that's coming this year is the 4th of July event will be in the park up near the rec center and expanded, so that should be fun. They're hoping to have Beats and Brews a little bit longer with 2 bands each night. So extra fun to come for the community. For the Marina Vista and Bayside Manor Parks, I know there hasn't been many updates on that for a while, but it's going to, for the construction bid this week, I believe, it's going out. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
on schedule for the end of the month.
Okay, for the end of the month. So then once the construction bids are collected, you'll see that come to council, just like these other bids like we saw tonight. And we'll move there then towards construction. And winter recreation activity registration is open. I just want to say thank you to this team for the team building event and experience. I don't think many councils and many cities work with their councils to offer that opportunity. And I think it was a really wonderful start for us to delve deeper in our relationships with each other and working as a team so that we can be the best possible council we can be for all of our residents. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to commend our staff for putting together the Dr. King Day of Service. It was a great reminder for all of us, Dr. King's value, which is life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are we doing for others? And I hope this will continue to be the value that we all live by every day. So I just want to bring about the awareness that the fire assessment, it's already, I think the residents already received that in the mail, and we're going to have a community meeting tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at the Millbrae Library, room A and B, to learn about more about the fire assessment. It's I think we're ending at 2024, which is the current assessment, and it's a very important initiative that will continue to help fund our public safety. So please, everybody would like to come in and just have their questions answered and get as much information as possible and bring about the awareness. And with that, I'd like to close tonight's meeting and adjourn at 9:36 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.